Hello and welcome to day 53 of 73. And today I wanted to talk about habits. Now, yesterday when was referring to the whole numbers situation, I remember thinking about how it was 3 weeks until my particular milestone. And when the number of 3 weeks came to mind, it brought me back to not only when I started this journey, but when I started thinking about habit forming behavior and what it would take to now solidify a certain behavior in my life so that it becomes part and parcel of everyday living. And I remember one of the things that I used to read, which many people now believe has been um, myth busted or proven to not be a tried and tested rule, was the 3 weeks to be able to build a habit. And this is something that I used to live by. This is something that I used to beat myself up on if I either quit before a 3 week mark or if I didn't hold true to that particular number, that it now made sure that I was doubling down on a negative self talk that I had within myself. And it's funny for me looking back because not only have I, in this particular habit, as far as recording every day is concerned, gone past the 50-day mark, but also on a larger scale with my journey with alcohol in particular, having spanned years in this sense, I think it's closer to me to be able to speak honestly about habit forming behavior and how that manifested itself in my life. I think that yes, there is the initial energy or intent to want to change and understand that incrementally this is what might be required of you. You know, you might start out by reading a book for 5 minutes or writing in your journal or whatever the case might be. But I've felt that in every endeavor that I've undertaken or where I've genuinely wanted to make a change, it has come from a deeper, more inspired place rather than me going on YouTube or me going and searching out on the internet and finding someone telling me how long exactly it would take for this to become a habit. I think that once you do that, well, at least for me, there was a tendency to look at this chunk of time as a box that I needed to tick. And then if it went unticked, then it now somehow devalued the effort or took away from what it is that I was trying to do. And so when it comes to me now reevaluating how it has come to be, me being able to create habits, it's been the most incremental journey. And I read up about this most recently as well about how long it normally takes. And people said somewhere between 18 and 254 days. So basically any time really. And the main thing that resonates with me was more so the value imbued and the intention that goes behind every single action and every single thought that you embark on when you're wanting to make that change or the shift. I understand as well that it's very easy to talk about in very broad terms, but at least from how I've understood it on my end, being able to build those habits comes from being true to not only where you are, but what you can realistically do on an everyday basis and build on that incrementally. Whether it is committing to a time that you're going to do a certain action, or it's having a bigger vision and understanding what each individual step is going to mean. Those things, once you put them together, you get a chance to try things out. Sometimes it's trial and error, sometimes it fails, but you get to reevaluate and try again the next day. And I know that for me, that was a very difficult thing to do, especially if I had already a vision or an understanding of what many people out there are saying. But ultimately, what it came down to is understanding that it is my journey at the end of the day, and it is my self that I need to treat as an individual in the best way in order to figure out how to tailor make whatever action or thoughts that needs to be adhered to in that particular moment. So as simple as it sounds, it is challenging in its own right. And I'm sure there are many aspects that you might find particularly difficult for your own self. So, food for thought, and thank you for your time. See you tomorrow.